Like John Lennon in Volume 1 of this series, Jimmy Page's immersion into the occult began with a fascination with Aleister Crowley, who had authored many prayers to Satan, and exclaimed that he had gone over to Satan's side. And like Mick Jagger and Keith Richards in Volume 2, that fascination with Crowley led Jimmy Page to partner with the diabolical filmmaker, Kenneth, yet another Crowley disciple, who has spent his entire life glorifying Lucifer. Let's first dispel the notion, advanced by some, that Crowley was not a devil worshipper, but merely a free spirit. He called himself the Great Beast 666 while alive, invoking the sign of the Antichrist from the Book of Revelation, until he died of a heroin overdose in 1947. One of his books features the name Baphomet, an occultist deity known as the god of the witches, on the cover. Many of his writings instruct on how to summon demons. The media of the day labeled him the wickedest man in the world. He advocated sex magic, orgies of copious amounts of sex and drugs. By Crowley's definition, magic with a K, is the art of causing change to occur in conformity with one's will. But others, including Christians and indeed some other occultists, recognize that necessarily means imposing one's will on others, and indeed the world. Crowley advocated a religion known as Thelema, which taught that do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. In other words, people should be able to engage in sexual and immoral acts, unconstrained by religion, social convention or even criminal statutes, presumably including those which forbid sex with young adolescents. Crowley's writings prove that he worshipped Satan and that he wasn't merely a free spirit. He stated he went over to Satan's side, and that he was not content to just serve the devil, but intended on becoming his chief of staff. His writings often contain prayers to Satan. He chanted, "O my Father, O Satan." He refers to, "Thou devil our Lord. O my Father the devil." He repeatedly chanted, "I am Satan." And one of his books is entitled Satanic Verses. Author, Chris Salowitz, in his book, Jimmy Page, The Definitive Biography, suggests that Page psychologically adopted Crowley as a substitute father figure, after Page and his mother discovered his actual father had been leading a double life, and had created an entirely separate family, with another woman. Jimmy Page was so enthralled by Crowley, that he sought out and started collecting icons and relics of the occultist, such as his hats, canes, talismans, paintings, memorabilia and manuscripts. He eventually had the largest collection of Crowley material in the world, and finally acquired one of the robes that Crowley had used in his demonic rituals. Page's devotion to Crowley ran so deep that he purchased Crowley's mansion, on the banks of the infamous Loch Ness, known as Boleskine House, where Crowley had held orgies and conducted unholy rituals. Boleskine House had a long and nefarious history. Per author George Case in Jimmy Page, Magus, Magician, and Man, Page himself proudly explained that the house had been built on the site of a church that had been burned down, with its congregation inside. Page also established an occult bookshop and publishing company in the Kensington borough of London, which he named Equinox, in homage to Crowley's book series of the same name. Page wrote in an autobiography that his purpose was to establish a collection of occult books he had been unable to acquire. However, another purpose was to publish books. The first book Equinox produced was the Ars Goetia, the Lesser Key of Solomon, translated by Aleister Crowley, which identifies 4 principal demons, known as the kings of hell. They report directly to Satan, and are aligned with the primary directions of north, south, east, and west. The Book of Goetia is what is known as a grimoire on demonology. A grimoire is a book of spells, including those to summon or invoke supernatural entities, such as spirits, deities, fallen angels, and demons. The Latin term Goetia refers to the evocation of demons or evil spirits, and is derived from the ancient Greek word meaning, witchcraft. The Book of Goetia identifies 72 of those demons. Page's Equinox bookstore also handed out cards, sporting the 666 sign of the beast, commemorating the 100-year anniversary of Crowley's birth, and containing his writings. Because Crowley's use of the term love often means sex, one passage of those writings seemingly advances the position that statutory rape, and child abuse laws, and religious and societal prohibitions against adultery, should not prevail. Man has the right to love as he will, take your fill and will of love as ye will, when, where, and with whom ye will. Man has the right to kill those who would thwart these rights. The slaves shall serve. One has to wonder, who do Crowley and Page consider to be their slaves? According to New Yorker magazine author James Wood, Page did what he willed, despite statutory rape laws. He states that the groupies who Page and the other Led Zeppelins bedded were shockingly young, 13, 14 and 15. They were known to the band as baby groupies. Copyrighted photos of Page with these pubescent juveniles abound on the internet. The location of one photo essay can be found in the description below. One 13 or 14-year-old groupie, who came under then 29-year-old Page's spell, Lori Maddox, also known as Lori Maddox, told the New Yorker that it was no secret that he liked young girls. This adolescent gave herself to him, because she found him to be, quote, a magical, mystical person, a rock god. According to multiple sources, Page obtained permission from Lori's mother for their 3-year tryst. Betty Iannacci, then an employee of Atlantic Records, who collected the 14-year-old from Page's motel room, acknowledges the mother's role in offering up her young daughter to Page, despite the fact that Page was mixing his sexual antics with heroin at the time. Is this an example of Page using Crowley's sex magic, where through sorcery, he imposed his will on the adolescent, her mother, and all of the staff and photographers, who did not alert authorities, to the type of criminal sexual abuse that recently led to a 30-year prison term for R. Kelly? A scourge, that is, a whip, is one of the implements Crowley requires to perform magic and summon demons. Page was known to travel with an assortment of whips, and used them in his sexual hijinks. Miss Pamela, another groupie, is quoted by author Chris Salovitz in his Jimmy Page biography. She says that she was amazed at his sadistic tendencies. "They're such a part of him, that I doubt if he'll ever stop," she said. "It was really frightening. He changed into another person." However, Miss Pamela claims that he never used the whips on her. But she does admit that he used to slap her during sexual liaisons. Jimmy Page met Kenneth Anger during a sale of Crowley memorabilia at Sotheby's, where Page outbid Anger for a pornographic manuscript authored by Crowley. As previously shown, Anger has the name Lucifer tattooed on his chest. As such, let's dispel the notion that glorifying Lucifer is not worshipping the devil. Christians equate Satan and Lucifer as the same being, only distinguishing Lucifer and Satan as the pre- and post-fall from heaven names of the same being. Luciferians argue that the name Lucifer appears only once, and in only some translations of the Bible, with other translators of 14 Isaiah using not a name, but the terms morning star or light bearer. As such, theistic Luciferians claim to honor Lucifer as an enlightened being, the bringer of light, or in other words, the angel of light. Regardless, both Christian and occultist authorities connect the angel of light with Satan. In 2 Corinthians, St. Paul the Apostle wrote, quote, "Satan himself masquerades as an angel of light." And in Magic, at page 27, Aleister Crowley himself wrote that, quote, "The devil is said to be able to disguise himself as an angel of light." Finally, Kenneth Anger's close friend, Anton LaVey, the founder of the Church of Satan, when authoring the Satanic Bible by drawing heavily upon the writings of Crowley, described the 4 crown princes of hell as Satan, Lucifer, Belial, and Leviathan. And like the Book of Goetia, he associates them with north, south, east and west. Crowley invited Anger to Boleskine House. Anger is reported to have rented the house for a time before Page acquired it. According to Lance Gilbert, author of The Led Zeppelin Curse, Page wanted Anger to perform an exorcism of spirits that had been left in the mansion, after being summoned by Crowley. Beyond the visit to Boleskine House, Anger moved into Page's primary residence, the Tower House, a veritable castle in London, previously owned by Irish actor Richard Harris. Kenneth Anger was then in the process of producing a movie, Lucifer Rising, using remnants from his 1969 film, Invocation of My Demon Brother. Fair warning, it is said that Anger's movies themselves are demonic rituals and that watching them imparts your energy to the occult. The demon brother invoked at the end of Anger's first film, is Satan, replete with red skin, bald scalp, and traditional devil's horns. Kenneth Anger asked Page to write the musical score for Lucifer Rising. And, Page actually appeared in Lucifer Rising, sitting before an image of Aleister Crowley, along with Marion Faithfull, then Mick Jagger's girlfriend, Jagger's brother, Chris, and Jagger's pal, Donald Cammell. Cammell's father, Charles Richard Cammell, had actually participated in Crowley's rituals in Boleskine House, and later wrote a biography of Crowley. The most notorious of Page's Lucifer Rising co-stars was its leading man, Bobby Beausoleil, who starred as Lucifer. While filming, Beausoleil was residing with Anger in an ornate Victorian mansion, informally known as the Russian Embassy. An article by Anton LaVey's grandson, who is Kenneth Anger's godson, tells of a meeting between Anton LaVey, Kenneth Anger, Bobby Beausoleil, and Charles Manson, in the Russian Embassy. At the same time, another future Manson family member, Susan Atkins, was photographed in the nude, with the elder Anton LaVey, in ceremonies at the Church of Satan. Her 1977 autobiography acknowledges that she was a child of Satan, during those times, before becoming a child of God. The production of Lucifer Rising progressed over a period of 3 years, with Anger editing the film, while living in the Tower House. In all that time, Page had only created 24 minutes of music. An argument between Page's wife and Anger led to Anger being banished from Page's home. At a press conference, Anger criticized Page's work ethic, in a veiled reference to Page's heroin habit, and announced he was placing a curse on Page. In the meantime, Beausoleil had joined the Manson family. Beausoleil had purchased some mescaline from Gary Hinman, and sold it to a member of the Straight Satan's motorcycle club. The mescaline was reportedly laced with strychnine, leading Beausoleil to confront Hinman, in order to get his money back. He was joined by Susan Atkins, according to We Magazine. Beausoleil stabbed and killed Hinman. Stories differ whether Manson was present, with some legends saying he cut off Hinman's ear. Beausoleil was arrested for the Hinman murder just days after the infamous Manson family murders. After the breakdown of his relationship with Jimmy Page, Anger reconnected with Beausoleil, while he was in Tracy prison, for the Hinman murder. Beausoleil wrote the score, and amazingly, was allowed to record it, while locked up. Yet, Jimmy Page kept his Lucifer Rising project close to his heart, for 38 years. He completed the score, and released it on his website, in 2012. At least one demonic reference found its way into Led Zeppelin lyrics. The song, Houses of the Holy, on the Physical Graffiti album, mentions Satan's daughter and goes on to say, "Let the music be your master. Will you heed the master's call? Oh, Satan, and man." Is this Page's way of inviting man to join Satan, by letting his music be his master? Notably, the copyright on those lyrics is held by Jimmy Page's company, Succubus Music Limited. A succubus is a female demon who seduces and entraps men in their dreams. Page paid tribute to Aleister Crowley and the occult when naming his daughter. Her first name is Scarlet. Crowley generally referred to the flock of loose women, drawn to his orgies, as the Scarlet Women. Scarlet's middle name is Lilith. In one sense, Lilith is a biblical figure, often referred to as lying down with demons and monsters, depending on the biblical translation. In Jewish folklore, Lilith is the queen of the demons, the wife of Satan, and a figure of uncontrolled sexuality. Occultists consider Lilith to be the goddess of independence. In literature, the devil Mephistopheles introduces Lilith to Faust, as they travel to a celebration of witches. More importantly, given Page's devotion to Aleister Crowley, Lilith was one of the middle names of Crowley's first child, and was the name by which she was known. Lilith also notably appears as a succubus, in Crowley's Duarta Magica. As such, both Page and Crowley named their daughters after a demon. Another tribute to Crowley can be found on the Led Zeppelin 3 LP. Crowley's credo, "Do what thou wilt," is inscribed in the run-out groove near the label. Many know that the 4 symbols used by Led Zeppelin are sigils, or symbols, found in a grimoire on magic. Specifically, they are found in the French book, Grimoires et Rituels Magiques. Likewise, many know that the burdened old man, leaning on his cane, on the cover of Led Zeppelin 4, is meant to evoke the Hermit Tarot card, who likewise always appears with a staff or cane. Another Zeppelin cover is disturbingly reminiscent of John Lennon's images, evoking infanticide, on the later band first cover of Yesterday and Today. Houses of the Holies features images of naked children, and worse on the inner sleeve, a naked adult male seemingly offering a girl, in a virgin sacrifice, pictures which would not likely be allowed, under current child pornography laws. Is this a reference to the highest ritual of Satanism? Or is there an innocent explanation? Innocence is harder to accept, once one remembers Page and other bandmates sexually enjoyed baby groupies, merely 6 or 7 years older than the girl on the album. Another disturbing parallel with John Lennon is Page's use of Nazi symbology. As discussed in Volume 1 of this video series, Lennon would often strike the Nazi salute, standing before crowds. Before he became famous, John had drawn a cartoon of himself giving the Nazi salute at a podium, with a crowd shouting "Heil John." Page, on the other hand, wore a Nazi outfit on stage, on Easter Sunday, 1977, complete with jack boots and an SS officer's hat. These days, Page claims the outfit was merely that of a stormtrooper, though it is patently obvious that the hat is either an original, or very good replica, of what is known as a Waffen-SS general visor hat. The next parallel is with Mick Jagger and Keith Richards. Like the Rolling Stones, Jimmy Page released a recording in tribute to blues legend Robert Johnson, who is widely believed to have sold his soul to the devil, in exchange for prowess on the guitar, as reflected by the title to his biography, Up Jumped the Devil. That album was entitled, Walking into Clarksdale. Legend has it that Johnson's deal with the devil was struck at the crossroads outside of Clarksdale, Mississippi. Page's biographer, Chris Salovitz, states that Robert Plant carried a small pouch of dirt scraped from that crossroads at all times. And of course, when Page and Plant reunited in 1998, they famously covered Robert Johnson's song, Crossroads. Many suspect Jimmy Page of selling his soul to the devil. Others spread rumors of a blood pact signed by 3 members of the band. Still others believe the band's many tragedies were the result of Page's occultism, or possibly Kenneth Anger's curse. Joe Jammer, then a Led Zeppelin roadie, is quoted in the Salovitz biography as saying that Robert Plant warned him to stay away from the evil Jimmy, because it was Page's fault that Plant's son had died. However, this video prefers to focus on documented facts, noting only that aside from Page's heroin addiction, Led Zeppelin's misfortunes mainly befell Page's bandmates. When confronted with his devotion to Crowley these days, Page glosses over the Luciferian aspects, saying he studied all sorts of Eastern religions and mysticism. Maybe. But as a student, and publisher, of Crowley writings, and the owner of an occult bookstore, surely he knew of Crowley's prayers to Satan. Yet, as author George Case in Jimmy Page, Magus, Magician and Man notes, he was Crowley's most famous evangelist. He went on to publish a book, translated by Crowley, that instructed how to summon demons. He may have used Crowley's sex magic to impose his will on a mother, to acquiesce in the statutory rape of her daughter, and on the dozens of folks around him, who failed to report that crime. Knowing Kenneth Anger had invoked Satan in his first film, Page enthusiastically appeared in, and had hoped to write the score, for the second. He befriended Anger, who worshipped Lucifer with his name tattooed on his chest, and who was so close to the founder of the Church of Satan that he was godfather to his son. Not surprisingly, Jimmy Page is reluctant to discuss his interest in the occult, and wishes people would stop focusing on it. The research underlying the video you just watched, was gathered for the Amazon legal thriller novel, So Help Me God. If you are interested in how the information you just learned fits into that novel, you will find a link to the book on Amazon.com, in the description, below. Fiction writers love conspiracy theories. Because they either comprise fiction fashioned from true facts, or they are amazing truth revealed by information once thought to be fiction. I leave it to you, whether there have been demonic influences on our culture. As you decide, remember Kaiser Soze's warning, at the end of the movie, Usual Suspects.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist.
As for me, I'll be saying a prayer to Saint Michael the Archangel, who is charged with protecting us from the evil spirits who wander the world, seeking the ruin of souls.